I imagine that the letters in the New Testament were written with varying degrees of haste and emotion. Paul wrote an angry letter to the church at Corinth. You could just tell that he had a lot of stuff that he needed to unload upon them, and he did. And on the other hand, the first letter to the Thessalonians consists almost entirely of prayers and praise. When Paul wrote his letter to Philemon, he told his friend and former slave, Onesimus, to personally deliver it. It might have gone a lot faster if they'd had regular mail, but Paul wanted it delivered by hand nonetheless. But what we have today is not so much a letter as it is a sermon, a long sermon, a very, very long sermon. Anyone grow up in a Southern Baptist church in here? You'd be at home if you heard this there. You wouldn't want to hear it in a UCC church. It goes on a way. It's a thick scroll. Probably would have taken, 3 to 4 stamps to mail anyway. It might have even been sent priority mail because there's a real sense of urgency about it. The moment you open your Bible to it, it just jumps out at you. Hold on, the preacher seems to say, and he or she walks us down this hall of fame, the great cloud of witnesses who went before us. Rahab, Gideon, Barak, yes, that's where it comes from. Samson, Jephthah, David, Samuel, the prophets. They're all up there. They're all up there in the bleachers now. They're waiting to see how you're going to continue to run this race. They all died before they received their promise, and apart from us, they will never be made perfect. Apart from us, they will never know the completion of their own pilgrimage. For their sake, it says, for God's sake, the preacher says, pick yourselves up and do something, why don't you? These are some of the saints who went before. You are the saints of the church now. Have faith. Someone once said that faith is the strength by which a shattered world shall emerge into the light. And despite the focus today on individual faithful persons, the passage sets aside individualism for a group ethos of strength. The text with the famous great cloud of witnesses line points to a communal understanding of faith. It's all we, and it's all us, and it's all our, pointing to an understanding of members of the congregation being in the struggle together with each other and with all of those who have come before them in faith. It's a long, long way from this individually conceived Jesus that lives in my heart way of talking about salvation that dominates contemporary American Christianity. No, it's not all about you. It's all about us. That was a great footnote to that. Well, it was a difficult time in the country, especially in the capital. Someone who was unfit to lead was in charge, and that person was Nero. After fire had destroyed a lot of the city, much of Rome in 64 CE, the emperor deflected criticism at him on the Christians, and the great persecutions began. And you can hear a little part of that in today's scripture. And so we face these great challenges in every generation. We face them in the church. We're partnered with other faith groups and in our community. And yesterday, the church was in the street. The Orange County Solidarity March demonstrated how completely interconnected we are and the power of working together for social and racial justice. A number of you were at the march. I saw you there. A number of you were at the forum as well. The discussion was about strongly supporting our police departments after so many attacks on our men and women in blue, while at the same time getting to the heart of the disproportionate amount of deaths of African American men and women at the hands of some members of our law enforcement. It was sponsored by the Core AME Church, a largely African American church. the community turned out, along with people from different faith traditions, civic, religious leaders, police officers from Irvine and from all around the area, as well as representatives from our judicial systems. David Whiting wrote an article, it's in today's Orange County Register, where he says, sheriff deputies in green walked beside Sikhs who walked with Christians, who walked with police officers in uniform, who walked with Muslims, who walked with rabbis. And in an era when tensions sometimes boil over between law enforcement and citizens, the march was not only significant, it mattered. This is what progress looks like. But we know that it was a cloud of witnesses that went before us that brought us to this day, and the next generation that marched in the hot sun and listened with respect in a church sanctuary. That's going to be who will make the way a little more smooth for the work that is to come. The head of our Irvine Police you met today, Chief Mike Hamill, gave words outside and inside, and was part of the head of a procession that was reported to be close to 1,000 people. And he shared his sense of excitement over making plans and working together to enact them. Inside at this forum, after church, people spoke very frankly and from the heart. The moderator, Professor Parham from UCI, told us how he was a professor, Dr. Parham, a professor when he was at UCI. But when he walked anywhere else outside of UCI as a black man, he was expected to be one of three things: an entertainer, an athlete, or a criminal. A policeman sitting a couple chairs away from me talked about the swiftness of time that goes by and the moment that is needed to make a life or death decision, and knowing the gravity of what that decision might mean. A woman who lost her son brought every ounce of bravery she could muster to stand and tell her story, holding her crumpled notes in a shaky hand. And while anger and pain shot across a forced calm, we who were in that room all knew we were there because the conversation, while difficult, had to happen. And these people, especially these officers, had agreed to come out, set up the march, then join the march, and then be present so that some healing could begin, and sit in a room with angry people and listen to what they had to say. And so that we could be together and recognize our common humanity. What was notably present yesterday was the agreement that there would be respect, and respect prevailed. Our moderator tweaked a quote by W.E.B. Du Bois and said that these would be the three questions for us to leave and to sit with. What does integrity look like in the face of oppression? What does justice look like in the face of savagery? And what does solidarity look like after the marches have stopped? Someone once said that hope is believing in spite of the evidence and then watching the evidence change. Together as a church, and churches all around us, we commit to the assurance of things hoped for. Together we live the conviction of things not seen. Together we join as strangers and pilgrims, seeing, welcoming through the fog and the mist on the horizon, a promised land that is always just a little bit beyond our grasp. The passage says, therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us set aside every weight, all of that stuff, that baggage that drags us down, the indifference, the fear, the sluggishness, the procrastination, the doubt, the distractions, that stuff that clings so closely to us, and let us run with perseverance the race that's set before us. Anne Frank says, everyone has inside them a piece of good news. The good news is you don't know how great you really can be. You don't know how much you can love. You don't know how much you can accomplish. You don't know what your potential is. Else, why are you here? What is next? Because it's for you to write. It's for you to act upon. It's for you to pass on so that another generation will feel compelled to pick up where we leave off and continue to try to build a better world. The passage goes on and said, yet all these, though they were commended for their faith, did not receive what was promised, yet God provided something better so that they would not apart from us. They cannot be made perfect. They, the long line of witnesses of disciples, the Hall of Fame types, the Peter, the Paul, the Elizabeth Cady Stanton, the Abraham, Martin and John, the Bob, right? The Lois, the Drew, the Rachel, the Constance. And that means that we're all in the chain too. We just don't celebrate the heroes of the past, although some feel very close with us in this room right now. We stand in their line, arm in arm with them. Their work lies incomplete without us. You and you and you and you and you. You bring us the new legacy that all the saints who from their labor's rest began. You and you have come here as a fresh cloud of witnesses to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. Can I get an amen on that? Amen. Hold on, says the pastor, or screams the pastor. Don't shrink back, don't despair, don't give up. Stir each other up, encourage each other. Don't stop coming to church. Don't stop getting involved in that stuff, even when you're tired. Don't stop wanting what's best for your community. Support the people who are doing their best work out there to make this a better place, including officers of our own law enforcement. Don't get discouraged. Don't ever give up hope. What is next? You will write that chapter. Help us all to write it well. Amen. Let's rise and sing our closing Alleluia.